Death can have me when it earns me.
All that blood on your hands, in your son's hands.
Is it a god of war you came to find?
Who's keeping you safe? Can you even imagine that kind of love? A monster who kills without cause.
What's up everyone, this is going to be my breakdown of the God of War story trailer. But before we get into it, I just want to say that this was one of the best trailers I think I have ever watched for any game ever. You know, it had so much energy, so much excitement. It felt like a roller coaster ride, but it just kept going up. There was no downfalls. Whoever edited this trailer, please give them a raise. I also want to thank my stream chat. They gave me a lot of suggestions and timestamps, so thank you all so much. The first scene I want to talk about is Atreus putting his hand on the tree. This reminds me of Faye in God of War 2018, where her print was basically everywhere throughout the game, showing us the path, and it seems that Atreus is marking the tree with his own handprint. Next we see Kratos inside of this house, but this isn't his home back in God of War 2018. It looks very different. One of the biggest differences is obviously this huge window in the front, but it seems that this is some place that he's coming to often. If you look outside the window, you see that it's pretty snowy, so this is in Midgard. On the table next to where Kratos drops a Leviathan axe, you can see the bag that used to carry Faye's ashes in the first game. So this is a place that Kratos and Atreus are coming to often. And the way that Kratos puts down the blades of chaos and the Leviathan axe, as if he's exhausted from something, that he had some type of battle maybe. Who knows? Next we see Kratos burn the rope off of Tyr. Now I find this very interesting because the rope itself completely vanishes, as if it's not just an ordinary rope. Perhaps this was a magical spell binding Tyr to that rope. Before we move on, let's go back to Atreus' dialogue. He says that everyone keeps secrets, sometimes we have to protect the ones we love. Now we're gonna come back to this, but keep this in the back of your mind for later on in the video. In the same scene, we rescue Tyr. Very slightly, Kratos moves his blades of chaos out the way and reveals that Tyr is wearing a red kilt. This is very similar to Kratos in the old God of War games that would also wear a red kilt. Perhaps Tyr is using clothing and other things from all the places, all the lands that he visited in the past. This includes Greece. Next we see Kratos and Tyr together opening up a door, and this area is Alfheim. Now we know this because that statue has appeared in the past with the God of War concept art of Alfheim, so I find this all pretty interesting. Next we have this little battle sequence. Now initially, a lot of people were screaming that this is a new weapon, but I don't think so. I think that this is an R3 execution where Kratos is taking the Light Elf's sword and using it to take him out. We've seen this so many times in the God of War series where Kratos will use a weapon once, you know, that circle QTE pops up that the enemy was using to completely finish them off, and this is just a finishing move, which I find cool. But a more interesting thing about this scene is in the background you see Tyr kneeling down next to a elf. We can tell that it's an elf because it's also using the same sword that the elf Kratos fighting is using. In the very next scene, you can actually see Tyr dragging this elf across. My question is, why? Perhaps Tyr is going to use this elf. Before we move on, let's re-listen to Tyr's dialogue together.
I know you. God Killer. What is it you want from me? Is it a god of war you came to find?
So our theory was correct. Tyr definitely recognizes Kratos, and of course he will. Back in his treasure room, you can see that the vase has the old Kratos on it, and he had a lot of other Greek artifacts in that room as well. So again, this would make perfect sense. However, what a lot of people pointed out is that Tyr doesn't exactly seem too excited to leave. As he's judging Kratos, he says, "What do you want? Did you want to find a God of War?" He doesn't really seem happy or anything like that. After hearing a knock on the door, Atreus opens it, revealing this mystery character. Now, a lot of people, myself included, believe that this is Odin, that this is Odin's dialogue. People say this for two reasons. One, we do know the actor who is playing Odin, and their voices sound very, very similar. Another reason, and take this one with a grain of salt, but a lot of users have been reporting if you watch this trailer in a different language with captions on, it flat out says that this is Odin. So for the remainder of this video, we're going to assume that this is Odin, which a lot of people agree with already as well. But we're going to talk about his dialogue a little bit later in the video because I want to piece everything together before we really talk about what he's saying. So for now, let's move on. I also love the parallel to God of War 2018. In that game, Baldur knocked on the door and Kratos opened. In this game, Odin knocks on the door and Atreus opens it up. Father and son. Also, Baldur is the son of Freya and Odin is the father of Thor. It's very poetic and I absolutely love it. Next, we have this scene with the prophecy. Now, if you listen to the audio description version of this trailer, which I'm going to play now, it does say that this is prophecy.
It's a prophecy.
All that blood on your hands?
Prophecy is disappearing in this scene entirely. Now, this reminds me once again of God of War 2018. After you beat the game, you get this dialogue from Mimir saying that Kratos changed something.
Before we return to Midgard, I should warn you, more time has passed than you likely realize. The snowfall that began when you slew Baldur has become something else. The stuff of omens.
Omens for the coming of winter.
Not just any winter, but a great winter to span 3 summers. And when it's done,
Ragnarok. From snow.
Aye, snow. Lots more snow. And then the end of the bloody world, in that approximate order.
Another prophecy.
No, brother. Prophecy doesn't expect this for 100 more winters at least. You've changed something. Prophecy didn't count on you.
Prophecy did not count on Kratos, so this is so cool to actually watch that prophecy disappear. This also reminds me of God of War 2018 when Kratos said this line that Mimir says is the same mentality that Odin has.
Here's something I can't figure out. Odin wants to prevent Ragnarok, but the serpent's already been there and seen it. So hasn't he already failed?
Fate's a tricky thing, lad. And Odin's just arrogant enough to think he can get the best of it.
Fate is another lie told by the gods. Nothing is written that cannot be unwritten.
On that, brother, you and the All-Father may just agree. Even if he can't prevent Ragnarok, he still hopes to learn enough details to influence the outcome. Remind me later to tell you about the wolves.
Fate really is just another lie told by the gods, and your fate can be changed, just how we see the prophecy here is completely disappearing. Nothing is set in stone. But let's move on. In this scene, following Atreus' eyes, it seems that there's a ton of enemies in front of him, above him, all around them, and Atreus is pointing his arrow towards them, all brave. But I find it so cool how many enemies are coming at us. This trailer is showing light elves a lot, which makes sense why Atreus will briefly be looking upwards, so this is very cool. Now this marble Atreus is holding reminds me of the first God of War trailer where Atreus is once again looking at this marble. In that trailer you can actually see a name on the marble itself, which was Hati. You can definitely check out the last breakdown video if you want to. Now Hati is someone who we will actually see in this trailer, but let's hold on for that. Next is one of my favorite moments. Well, this trailer is full of my favorite moments, but Kratos and Atreus are once again having an argument. It seems that Atreus knows something that he's not telling his father. This reminds me again of the first trailer with Angrboda, who once again has these secrets that they're just not telling us. Again, keep the dialogue in the back of your mind. I'm gonna piece together everyone's dialogue towards the end of this video, so definitely hold on to what they're saying. Next, we have this mural that Kratos and Atreus are looking at, and the chat and myself went nuts when we started to examine this. This is very interesting. This might be telling another story of Tyr. First, we see a gateway being open. Then we see an animal alongside Tyr and another animal to go to this place that seems to be flooded. You can see water droplets coming off this part. Now, this is a theory, and I want to save my theories for other videos, but it's possible that this could be Greece. Last time we saw Greece in the God of War story, it was completely flooded and completely just destroyed because of Kratos. Kratos' destruction of the Greek gods caused the entire land to be completely destroyed. But what I find this more interesting is that there is a chance that when Tyr visited this world, when it was completely flooded because of Poseidon's death, maybe Kratos and Tyr were there at the same point in time, maybe at a different location even. Which means that Tyr not only knows of the legend of Kratos, but he might have actually saw him. From the time that Kratos left Greece and made his way to Norway, we learn from the book Lore and Legends that it was over 100 years, centuries. Tyr hadn't yet been captured by Odin yet. I find this so cool. It's storytelling on another level, and I really want this to be true, man. I really do. Comment. Next, we see Atreus' neck is being wrapped around. We know that controlling vines is one of Freya's power, but a more interesting part of the scene is that we know what this green thing is that Atreus is wearing around his neck. If you go to the audio description version of this trailer, you can actually hear that this is a mistletoe arrow. Freya obviously hates these things. When she's looking at it, most likely she's remembering Baldur. This reminds me of that scene in God of War 2018 when she saw Atreus with mistletoe arrows that Sindri gave him. She yelled at him in that scene saying, "Give them to me." And when Atreus did, she burned them. So it's definitely not doing Atreus any favors of him wearing around his neck and Freya seeing it. Next, we have two Valkyries making an appearance. Valkyries are not gone. They return in God of War Ragnarok, which is so fucking cool. One of them calls him Pretender God, which does have some significance. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Another one screams for the Allfather, showing that these Valkyries are still loyal to Odin. Something I find cool but kind of makes me a little bit angry is when Kratos is recovering, he's lifting himself up. In the background, you see two Valkyries. One of them is actually holding Atreus and the other one is punching him right in their gut. They're beating my boy. I don't like that. I am going to destroy them for that. Sorry about that. I'm trying my best to hold back my emotions as I'm making this video. Let's move on. Now, the big question is, where exactly are they? It's showing a galaxy in the background. Pausing it at different moments during the encounter with the Valkyries, you can see various parts of this galaxy looking type of area. Where are we? Now, the bigger question is, where exactly are we? During this encounter with the Valkyries, you can see the galaxy in the background, like the actual universe. The only time we see something similar is the realm between realms. If you look up, you can see the stars, and Matt, one of the writers for God of War 2018, confirmed that this is not put there for show, that it's there for a reason. The only other place we see stuff like this is the hidden chambers, where we actually fought the Valkyries. In some of the hidden chambers, if you look up, you can see stars in the background. I'm going to go much deeper on this topic in a later God of War theory video, so make sure to keep your eyes open for it. But it seems, my best guess is that this area is the realm between realms. However, I'm going to say that it's a different version of it, a more destroyed version. The platform we are standing on is not really connected to anything else. So what I think happened is that Kratos and Atreus was using the realm between realm fast travel system. And on that platform, that's when the Valkyries attacked, completely destroying the platform and us descending into it. Brock told us to never step off of the platform. The one time we did do it, we had the black rune with us, which protected us as it landed us in front of the Jotunheim Tower in God of War 2018. However, that rune is completely destroyed. So what happens when you step off the platform, or the realm between realms platform is completely destroyed and we're falling down and down and down? I think what we're seeing here is the void. An area with complete nothingness, and we're trapped here with the two Valkyries. Again, I'm gonna go much deeper in another video, so definitely stay on the lookout for that. But let's move on to the next topic. Now, this scene is very significant of Kratos fighting the Hellwalkers because Mimir is not at his side. Atreus is next to him, but where's Mimir? Actually, a lot of moments in this trailer, Mimir is not at Kratos' side, yet Atreus is. Now, I want to ask you all, because I do have my own theory, but I'm saving it for another video. What the hell do you think is happening? Why is that there's some shots that Mimir is not in, and there's some shots that the Blades of Chaos are not there, or both of them? This makes me really happy to say, but after the Helheim scene, we see Atreus use a sword, or an actual melee weapon here, which is really cool. Here's a close-up image of it. I know it's a bit blurry, but yeah, Atreus is definitely not just shooting an enemy with his bow. But this could also be Atreus just using his bow as a melee attack. I'm not gonna get too excited about Atreus getting his own melee weapon just yet, but it seems maybe there's different ways that Atreus can support Kratos. As Kratos is beating an enemy, this seems to be some type of flying machine. If you look outside of it, it seems to be moving, but it is high above the trees. What's going on here? Is this maybe one of Tyr's contraptions, or maybe it's Brock and Sindri's, or hell, even Durlin? But they seem to be on a moving machine of some kind as they're getting attacked inside of it. Here is what the audio description says about this enemy.
Kratos battles Einherjar.
It's now confirmed that this enemy is one of the Einherjar, which is soldiers who have died in battle and went to Valhalla. We can actually see this enemy on the Game Informer cover. So this is basically confirming that Odin and his army is attacking Svartalfheim, which again, so damn cool. The audio description also confirms that this enemy is called Dreki. Again, something we knew because of the Game Informer coverage. Shoutouts to Game Informer. The audio description says that Kratos is encountering a magma creature, and by the background, by how everything looks, this is Muspelheim. Now, to defeat these enemies, it seems that their weakness is that big symbol. Just throw your axe at that symbol and, they get damaged. Really cool stuff. Here is a very missable detail about this fight though. If you look up to the top left at the 151 timestamp, you can faintly see this glow in the distance. This glow is from the fast travel system in God of War 2018. We all knew pretty much that they will make a return, but it's good to actually see it. But now let's talk about Odin's dialogue up to this point. It seems he's lecturing Kratos, saying that Kratos is not a proper god, that he knows nothing of godhood. Here is all of Odin's dialogue put together, from when we first saw him to this part of the trailer. He tells Kratos he knows nothing of godhood because he was never prayed to. He doesn't understand what it means to be a god, what it means to accept the love of the people that are praying to him. This is the mentality of Odin, which matches everything that we heard about the character in God of War 2018. He is a very selfish man who's addicted to power, to being worshipped. To be a true god is to accept the love of the people who pray to you. Perhaps this is the reason why the Valkyries screamed at Kratos, pretender god. Maybe the Valkyrie and the other allies of Odin call Kratos a pretender because in their eyes, he's not a true god. You're a pretender god if you don't accept their love, if you don't want their love. God, this fucking game's characters are perfect. But Kratos' mentality is very different. Remember after the Baldur fight when we went into the cave and we were doing one of the first puzzles of the game? Kratos told Atreus, men should not pray to monsters. So although Kratos and Odin agree on fate and fate being able to change, they don't agree on men or people praying to gods. He then calls Kratos a monster who kills without cause, which we all know Kratos had plenty cause to destroy the Greek gods. Even Mimir agrees with it. He said that the Pantheon had it coming. He said this in God of War 2018. Something interesting that a user brought up while on the stream was that the red flowers behind Kratos say that this might actually be Freya's home, that maybe we were going past it or we confronting Freya, and maybe Freya dies in this scene. Again, that's just a theory that a lot of people are starting to really talk about, and I find this all very interesting. Now here's a part that a lot of people are talking about. Who is Kratos holding? There are a few clues that we can use throughout this scene to make a good guess. There is a moment in this scene where an elf is flying past Kratos and whoever is on his back. Behind Kratos is a bunch of explosions. The scene then shifts to in front of Kratos where he is running, and you see two vines pulling down trees. Again, these vines, the only person we know who can do this is Freya. So perhaps the threat that Kratos is running away from is Freya. But who could be the figure that Kratos is holding? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think it's Freyr, Freya's brother. Again, one of the biggest clues is that an elf flies past Kratos and this person to go after the threat that is behind them. God of War 2018 as well as lore and legends confirm that Freyr is the leader of the elves in Alfheim, dark and light. Perhaps these elves no longer see Kratos and Atreus as a threat, instead the person going after Freyr and Kratos, Freya. However, there are people who believe that this is Angrboda. However, Angrboda's hair looks like this in the reveal trailer, and the person that Kratos is holding on his back has a ponytail. It's tied up. That's why I don't think that it's Angrboda. Plus, the clothes are very different. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now, my favorite part of this trailer, and again, I have a lot of favorite parts, Kratos and Atreus and two giant wolves are standing underneath, staring at an eclipsed sun. But let's try to answer the bigger questions. Obviously, these two wolves are Skull and Hati, the ones that chase and eventually eat the sun and the moon. They seem to be under command of Atreus. Now this makes sense going into the book lore and legends. I'm going to go over this very quickly. In that book, wolves surround Atreus when Kratos is not around. Atreus thinks he's under attack until he hears a buzzing in his ear as all the wolves around him begin to howl. The wolves run away once Kratos comes back. Kratos questions his son, asking if he is okay, and Atreus begins to laugh, because that's how safe Atreus was around these wolves. There are wolves pushing Kratos and Atreus' sled in Midgard, and that's how they get around. In the scene when Kratos finally tells Atreus that he's a god, Atreus, after that scene is over, says, "Can I turn into a wolf?" Corey Barlog in an interview confirmed that this is very significant because Loki and wolves are associated with one another. Santa Monica Studios said countless times that Atreus is represented as a wolf and Kratos as a bear. So wolves and Atreus are one and the same, that they listen to Atreus because of who he is. This is why on his command, the wolf begins to chase the sun away. Big question though, why is this happening? Again, I'm going to make theories about this a little bit later on, but I just find this so strange. In the audio description, it straight up says that they clap their hands together in brotherhood. Oh my god. Now, what's really significant about this scene is that Kratos is attached to the Blades of Chaos, as the blade itself is in Tyr's hand. Maybe Kratos attacked Tyr, maybe Tyr just grabbed it, but they both, gods of war, coming together, holding hands in hand, and I think that this is the best scene in this trailer. It means so much that both of them are pretty much holding the Blades of Chaos in some way. Tyr by the blade, Kratos by the chain. It's so poetic, man. Kratos and Thor coming at one another, throwing their weapons. Everybody on the entire world imagined this scene for the last 4 years after God of War 2018. Oh gosh, this is the moment we all knew was gonna happen, and it pays off so awesome in this trailer. Cuts to the logo, and once again, Kratos and Thor coming at each other, swinging, and it's incredible every second. But a really small detail here is that Thor snaps his fingers and Mjolnir comes to his side. That's how he recalls it. You can actually hear the snap if you boost the audio. It's definitely there, and it's really cool. This video is getting really long, so I think this is a great place to end it. Before I go though, I just want to thank every single person in the chat who helped out with this. If you go ahead and you watch my live reaction, the chat is involved. I am going to every single timestamp that the chat is telling me to go to. We spent hours talking about it, and I just want to say I absolutely love you people. From like the bottom of my heart, I love you people so fucking much. I'm glad I started covering God of War, and onwards to November 9th, man. It's gonna be one hell of a video game. I'm gonna be out of here. Thank you guys and girls for listening. Make sure to subscribe because more theories are coming down the line. Make sure to like the video to push it out just a little bit more. Everything helps. Bye everyone. Deuces.